If we make a dua, we feel already that this dua is really granted to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Can you hear me at the back there now? No. We heard you say no, that means you heard us. I always look at the youngsters and I say, enjoy your hair while you can. Thank Allah. If you thank Allah for it, perhaps it might not disappear. But if it does, it's a beautiful thing. What's wrong? Half the world is bald, including the cameraman in front of me. MashaAllah. I was wondering what light was shining here, and I realized it's not a light. It's a beautiful hair. May Allah bless you, my brother. There was a brother who wanted to accept Islam. So he said, can I accept Islam? They said yes. He accepted Islam. They told him, you need to cut. You need to cut what? You need to cut what? Circumcision. They said, you must slaughter. He was scared. He said, no, I can't. They said, no, you have to. We put you. You come. We need to. You must. 7 days. Where did they get this from, that 7 days you need to slice? So the brother says, hey, that's rough. I can't do it. I'm an old man. What's going to happen? He was scared. You know how scared they get? That is his pride. They want to chop it. So he said, no. It's very hard. They said, no, we will take you by force. He said, no, then I want to leave Islam. They said, if you leave, we will chop your head. Never mind that. So he was, what kind of religion is this? I enter, you want to chop. I exit, you want to chop. What do you want? What is it? That shows people are confused. May Allah Almighty make it easy. This happens as well.
قلت له طيب هل تذكر طوال التاريخ القديم أو اليوم أن عالما من علماء المسلمين تحول نصرانيا؟
Then I asked him that, okay, have you ever heard before or now, in the past or present, that one of the great scholars of Islam has left Islam and gone to another faith?
He said, no. Then I said, why?
قال لا فقلت لماذا؟ كيف ترجم؟
والله thank you very much يا أخي. جزاك الله. تبغى نقلبها ترى ممكن يا شيخ.
I'm going to tell you something amazing. So a guy messages me and tells me, Assalamu alaikum. Sorry to ask you, but I heard that you have passed away. Please confirm if it is true. So trust me, I said, MashaAllah. Yes, I have passed away, and you know what? I am actually messaging you from Jannah, and there is some internet, it's quite high speed, subhanallah. So why don't you pass away too, and then maybe we can just be here together and have some, have a kappa, subhanallah. So it was amazing. And this is not the first time it's happened to me. It's actually the second time that this has happened, where someone has messaged me saying, I heard you passed away, is it true? I mean, come on! If the guy died, would he reply you? I don't know the logic, man. Subhanallah, Rabbil Alameen. Many of us, we want our women to look nice, but you look like a tramp. Allahu Akbar. I remember once the phone rang, and I was at the back. We had arrived a little bit late, and we had joined Salah in the first rak'ah, and we had finished Salah with everyone else, but arrived a little bit late. And I was sitting at the back, and someone's phone had rung in one of the rak'at. And as soon as Salah finished, because this phone was an irritation, everybody turned back to look. And I knew whose phone rang. But the irony is he turned back as well. So what could I do? I had to turn back as well. Because they're looking at me now. But this is how intelligent the young people have become. Imagine your phone is ringing, you're so embarrassed, the whole masjid is looking at you, and you casually just turn around and look at somebody else. So there was a man sitting on a train. Now the train was a double-decker train, a sleeper train. So he's at the top, and 3 ladies walked in. Old ladies. They walked in and they sat. So he's at the top, and they're down there. And he's hearing the discussion, sitting, they're asking each other questions. And suddenly one says, how old are you? Now she looked 65. She says, I'm 30. And this man was so irritated, so irritated, so irritated. So now the other two knew that this was sarcasm. You know, she was being silly. So they were also very old, probably a little bit younger than her. So she says, and how old are you? Now, instead of saying I'm 55, she says, well, I'm 25. So she says, oh, and this man is now even more irritated. And so they asked the youngest one, and what about you? She says, I'm 15. That was it. The man drops down. When he dropped down, they said, hey, what's happening? He says, I'm just born. Allahu Akbar. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us goodness. You've got all these follows. The only thing that's going to happen to you is on the day of judgment, right? Come here. Who did you follow on TikTok? Here's all the names. Who are these? You can't say Sheikh, Beyonce, Sheikh. These are not sheikhs. MashaAllah. I went to one country and someone invited me to a wedding. In the venue there is a man sitting outside with a book. And he tells you, Sheikh, he asked me a question. Can I write your name? I said, no, thank you. No, and he just looked at me, he gave me such a dirty look. I didn't know what is the issue, because I was unaware of the culture. And I went in. And I went in and I had the meal and everything. When I came out, the same man asked me, Sheikh, did you enjoy the meal? I said, hey, mashallah, it was very nice. He said, so would you like to write your name? I said, no, thank you. He said, everyone is writing. I said, what are they writing? He says, you have to write your name. So I said, okay, so write it. He said, so how much are you giving? Wallahi, I'm not joking. I was shocked. He said, you think we invited you for free? What? I'm first time coming across this culture, you know? He said, you know what, you are from abroad, you are from outside, we're expecting something better from you. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And you know what, it so happened that that moment I did not have cash in my hand. And I was so embarrassed, I told him, you know what, I can write, but I will have to send it to you. He said, don't make excuses, Sheikh, people respect you. I said, no. The Imam in the masjid said, you need to praise the cooking of your wife, just like I said now. So the man went home and he had this meal and he was looking at it and looking at his wife and smiling and all happy, mashallah, and excited and everything. And when he finished, he says, oh, it was awesome. And the wife says, what? I've been cooking for you for 21 years, you never said that. Today when the food came from the neighbor, you want to say it was awesome. Subhanallah. I remember the guy saying, well, you know, my wife is a bit out of shape. Subhanallah. Brother, you look like a pear. You're worried about what your wife looks like. Are you worried about what you look like? It's like the guy telling his wife, you know what? Your belly's a bit big. She says, I know. I'm about to be a mother. What about yours? It's big as well. He says, well, I'm about to be a father. You know, once I was sitting on an aircraft, and I have a lot of time on an airplane. And I had an atheist sitting next to me and we were talking about faith, and he said, you guys are very bad. The Muslims, I said, no, you get good and bad in every faith. He said, not Islam. I'm saying, what do you mean? He said, Islam, everyone's bad. You believe in Quran? I said, yeah, Quran, we believe in Quran. He says, this Quran, it's got bad things in it. I said, what? He says, you know, it says that anyone who's not a Muslim is going to hellfire. That is very bad. You guys are filled with hatred. You guys, I said, brother, you don't believe in hellfire. Why are you worried? That's the irony. Atheist, he doesn't believe in the hereafter. And he's telling me we are bad because we believe everyone's going to hell. I said, by the way, the Christians believe the same, the Jews believe the same, the Hindus believe the same, and most other faiths believe the same. What about them? He said, no, but they don't have a Quran. I said, okay, this is a bigot. This is a person who really doesn't know. He is so uneducated. The Arabic language is extremely important. We start with alif, we move to ba, ta, tha. Once you get to tha, then you're going to go to the gym. One day, may Allah grant this man Jannah, he passed away, one of the imams in one of the masajid back at home in South Africa. The imam was slightly late for Salatul Fajr. Slightly late, a few minutes. Now you know what happens with the imams. Normally you have the people behind, they roll, hey, you late, you late. He got up, he said, brothers, don't pick on me. I was engaged in another act of worship. He says, I've come from ibadah to ibadah. It's a fact. And you know what? Those who understood knew what he was saying. And he said it. And nobody dared say a word. From that day, he was the hero of all the youngsters. They said, the man is old, but he's not cold. May Allah grant us each. We're talking of a happy family. Man, his surname was Singh. Okay. He was resting in a park. Because when you rest on the bench in a park, what happens is you take up more than one space, you know. So one person came to him and told him, are you relaxing? Now he thought, this man is asking me, is your name Relax and your surname Singh? You know, are you relaxing? He says, no sir, I am Dilip Singh. And here comes another man. He says, are you relaxing? Within a minute, another man, are you relaxing? He says, no sir, I am Dilip Singh. And a third man, are you relaxing? He says, no sir, I am Dilip Singh. So he decided, like I told you, no patience. He got up and he walked away. So he walked right to the other side of the park and he saw another man. He saw another man lying down. And he said, this might be the one. So he tells him, are you relaxing? He says, yes. He says, they're looking for you on the other side. Man, his wife tells him, listen, you know what, you have to tell me, you have to swear that you're going to be honest with me. He says, okay, I'm honest. Describe your love for me. So the man says, he thinks for a moment and he says, you know what, you are like my SIM card, I'm like the phone, you know. Without you, I'm nothing. Now you know that. Wow. So the woman goes back so happy and delighted. Wow, I'm so happy. It's the sweetest, most romantic thing I've ever heard. Imagine, without a SIM card, what is a phone? So then he walks out, and as he's walking out, he says, and she's saying, wow, most romantic word I've ever heard. He says, she doesn't know my phone has a quad SIM. Allah protect us. You have a father, he becomes a father-in-law. You have a son, he becomes a son-in-law. You have a daughter, she becomes a daughter-in-law. You have a mother, she becomes a mother-in-law. You have a wife, what does she become? She is the law. I have something very funny to share with you today, subhanallah. Although it's a serious matter. So there's this sister in a country I'm not going to mention. For Eid, she purchases live chickens, 50 live chickens to feed the family and whoever else there was. They were going to have a huge party. And so she asked one guy, do you know how to slaughter these halal? He says, yes. So this guy starts slaughtering them. And a little while later, she thinks to herself, wow, he's so quick. He's cutting it so fast. Let me go and see how he's slaughtering. Guess what? He was slaughtering every chicken. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Can you believe it? That's not halal. He's supposed to have said, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, in the name of Allah, and Allah is the greatest. You don't just go around saying Salam alaikum and eating your food. May Allah forgive us. Wasn't that funny? I found it hilarious actually. And she was so upset because 25 chickens wasted. May Allah forgive us. Brothers and sisters, remember to eat that which is halal, clean and pure. Tayyib. Assalamu alaikum. Well, now I'm going to say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah protect us. We don't know anything. We have no clue. Let me give you one other example. This I was told by one of the mashayikh. He says, there was a man who was fulfilling salah. And he was an irregular, but he made his tawbah and he came to the masjid. So he arrived at Salatul Fajr. And I hope, my brothers and sisters, that not a single one of us misses Salatul Fajr tomorrow morning. Is that a promise? By the will of Allah. You know, inshallah means 2-3 things. I'm sure you're aware. When people say inshallah, then you say, are you coming to my house? I say inshallah. Then when they don't come, you say, did I say yes? I just said inshallah. You got to say yes, inshallah. So are we ready tomorrow morning, Fajr? And the other 4 salahs as well. MashaAllah. Not just Fajr. Okay. So this man walks in for Salatul Fajr and he's standing. And the Imam starts reading Surah Al-Baqarah. Okay. He reads Surah Al-Baqarah. And it's a nice long surah. You know, Surah Al-Baqarah is very long. So this man is standing and he's thinking, hey, this Imam is reading long. Now, one of the cries of the masjid, my beloved Imams who lead the salah, do not over-lengthen your salah. Stick to that which is sunnah. And understand it. And realize that when you lengthen your salah, sometimes you are discouraging the weak ones behind you from coming for the next salah. So if you are standing and reading beautifully, and the microphone is good, and mashallah, everything is beautiful and nice, and the weather is beautiful, and you are just prolonging, there are some of those Surah Baqarah people at the back, you know. So you need to remember they are still a bit weak, you know. So that is one of the cries of the masjid is, you know, calm down, cool it a little bit. Maybe you rather read a bit shorter so they come back. And we don't want to read quick in a way that we are insulting Allah. You know, Taraweeh time in the house of Allah, many of the Imams, they read like a Concorde. That's why they have stopped the Concorde now. Do you know that? Concorde is blocked, banned, finished, no more. All of them that are still there, they are just in museums because it's too fast. We have Concorde Salah. Alhamdulillah. What is that? Yeah? What is that? You are insulting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rather read short and clear than to read long and unclear, an insult to Allah. Who said you have to finish the Quran? To finish the Quran is a sunnah which is very great, but not at the expense of speed, never ever. Remember that. And this I'm addressing us as imams who lead in the masjid. People say, I went and I listened to the whole Quran. That man used to finish Taraweeh in 10 minutes. Ah, what did you hear? You just heard the humming of a bee, that's all. Like a sound of a mosquito coming to your ear. I listened to the whole Quran. That man used to finish Taraweeh in 10 minutes. Ah, what did you hear? You just heard the humming of a bee, that's all. Like a sound of a mosquito coming to your ear. And that's all you knew. May Allah protect us. So this man came in for salah and he's reading the Surah Al-Baqarah is being read, and at the end of the salah, you know, he looked at the man next to him, nudged him, he says, hey, this imam read very long. Which surah did he read? So he says, it is called Surah Al-Baqarah, which means the cow, and it is the longest surah in the Quran. So he said, okay, now I must ask, before I start my salah, which surah is being read? So Al-Baqarah was very, very long. So now he came for Salatul Maghrib, the poor fellow, and he started Allahu Akbar. So Imam finished Walad Dallin, and he starts Alam tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil. So this man nudges the other one and says, you know what, before you start, what surah is this? He says, this is the elephant, Al-Fil. So that man says, if Baqarah was so long, I'm sure Fil must be even longer. Let me go away. My brothers and sisters, remember, this is the attitude and mentality of some of the public, because they are weak. So he says, no, this is one of the shortest surahs in the Quran. The reason I'm saying this, many reasons, there are many benefits for all of us, but one of them is, we have not yet made an effort to know the surahs and their meanings. That is why we do not achieve the sweetness within the salah. I have had occasions where I have led personally some long salawat of Salatul Fajr, and some people have come to me and told me, Sheikh, you should have read even longer, the meaning was so powerful. Subhanallah, that is the type of statement we need. But we don't know the meaning, we're not bothered. Like I always say, we've studied so many books in order to achieve all those ology degrees we spoke about moments ago. But we haven't studied the one book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nor have we studied the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It requires an effort, it requires dedication, it requires time off work, it requires a lot. You have no guarantee that you will live to old age when you can do that.